name is Jamie Wood, and labor unions are going to be the focus. They've been around for many years, but mostly got their start, probably about mid-1900s or so. The Triangle Factory Fire is primary source of why unions got started. And all this information is courtesy of NPR.org and CornellUniversity.edu. The Triangle Factory Fire, well, the Triangle Waste Company in New York City, New York, employed about 400 immigrants or so, mostly immigrants. Very horrible working conditions, as you can see in these pictures here. The sewing machines and oils from the machines littered the floor, along with scraps and buckets full of oil and scraps as well. The tables were very tight and solid wood tables as well. Now as you see down here, there are different displays for the fire escape. One for the whole building. The factory was actually located on the 8th, 9th, and 10th floor. The workers were mostly contracted labor, so many of them did not even know what they got paid. They just worked for a living, and many of them were illegal and would never say anything, and their employers knew that. On March 25th, 1911, a fire broke out on the 8th floor. And so from the 8th to the 10th floor, 146 people died. The youngest was 14. Here are all the people that died. The whole list. Many of them were women. The vast majority were women. You have some that are 19, 21, 16, most just barely starting their lives, especially the 14-year-old. After this fire, it was a landmark case for labor unions. They had tried once before, but labor unions failed to get very far, especially within this company. After this, court cases went on, of course, for a very long time, and labor unions and the harsh working conditions at the factory took center stage. Now, for organizing a labor union, if you would actually like to organize your own, and this is all courtesy of laborunionresources.org, your first step would be to actually organize. Grab your coworkers, wherever it is you work, you feel you're being mistreated, or just want some kind of representation. Gather your coworkers. Second would be to get an issues committee started. Decide what your issues are, what your problems are, what you want fixed. The third is to get union cards signed. Once you get the vast majority of those union cards signed, you can then hold an election. Hopefully you win the election. If you don't, you have to start the process all over. Once an election is won, you then build up a contract for your employer. You negotiate. Sit across the table and you negotiate. And this goes to my next point, collective bargaining. And this I actually got from my good friend who works for AFSCME, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees Labor Union. He does communications and public affairs there. And he has spoken to me quite a bit about collective bargaining. It is basically the worker's right to sit across from his employer and come up to some sort of agreement. But not every state has this right. Georgia, however, they are working on gaining this right. That's actually where my friend is working at right now, trying to gain collective bargaining rights for employees down there. Wisconsin recently is fighting for theirs. There has been a huge uproar up there. That is a big labor union state. The history of the unions, which I got from AskMe.org, started with Martin Luther King. Well, they didn't necessarily start with him, but he was a huge focus for them. During the sanitation workers' strike in 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, as you see, here is him with many other African American workers. And here is the very large strike line stating, "I am man." And this, unfortunately, is where Martin Luther King met his demise, met his death. unfortunately. There are other countries, of course, that have unions. This is courtesy of the New World Encyclopedia. I was able to find information on other countries. I got very curious to see if we were the only one. Poland had their trade union in 1980. It wasn't very popular, and then probably about 1990 is when it got really popular for its anti-communist views. And this is said to actually be the downfall of the Soviet Union due to the ideals spreading across Europe. South Africa has had theirs since 1880. Early on, it was for whites only. Unfortunately, African Americans weren't involved then. Of course, now they are. And it makes up for about 1/4 of the working population. Great Britain was held back until World War I. Each time there is an economic hardship or a war, their union membership skyrockets. Sweden and Finland. Sweden has approximately 2 million in labor union members, Finland 1 million, and they both have a very strong stronghold with them and their people. Labor unions have been a huge source. Not everyone likes them, but I guess it depends on the circumstances and the situation, I think myself. But over the years, they have helped a lot of people. They've been good for a lot of people, and as you see, maybe 146 deaths could have been prevented if they had been in place.